I love there was one quote from your book that I wrote. You wrote, "It's a prison from which the only escape is self-awareness." And I love that line because you're talking about a patient struggling with parental resentment at the time, but that statement could apply to so much more. Why is self-awareness so hard?
You're asking, of course,
it's a big one.
The $1,000,000 question.
It's a big one.
Because we're designed to avoid pain. We're designed to seek non-pain. We're designed to go toward what's comfortable and push away what's uncomfortable. And really in the book I'm asking us to confront our trauma language, which is uncomfortable. You know, really, if I look at what I'm really doing in this book, which is helping people uncover this trauma language that didn't start with them. Sentences like, "I don't deserve to live." Sentences like, "I'll lose everything. I'll be put away. I'll go crazy." These are often family sentences that if we look into our own intolerable sensations and learn to be with them, then it makes it easier for us. Really, we think there's no end in sight. If I go into this feeling, I'll never get out, there's no end in sight. But the opposite's true. If we really enter a feeling like grief, really enter it, we find that not only does it end, but at the very end is a sweet spot. That something happens to us where we go, and not only does it end, but we find a newfound freedom.
Well, on that note, I found myself following some of your exercises and writing down things like, my biggest fear is. And what was interesting to me, and I'm sure you found this in your treatment practices, is what came out was not something that I expected to come out.
It's beautiful.
That's a good thing, right?
Yeah, that's what I tell people. So I'm working in a workshop and I'll say to people, I ask this question. I'll say, "So what's your worst fear? Tell me the worst thing that could happen to you if your life suddenly went terribly wrong, if things suddenly fell apart. What's your worst fear?" And then I add, this is before you even had children. This is probably a feeling you've known all your life. In fact, maybe you've felt you've even been born with it. And then I add sometimes this, even if it seems crazy or aberrant, write it down. And that's where you get the juice. A lot of times I work with people with a fear that has no context in his or her life experience. So that fear can only be in the family history. And then when we start to part the Red Sea of the family history, we begin to see that, oh my goodness, my grandfather would have had cause to feel that. My grandmother would have had cause to feel that. And these sentences, like the ones I've just mentioned, aren't from childhood. They're not from our in utero experience, where a whole lot happens there as well. These sentences come from the family history.